senior, number 4, Anaya Tate. At setter, senior, number 6, Hannah Hewitt. At middle blocker, junior, number 10, Janana Fowler. At setter, sophomore, number 13, Julia Mundy. At middle blocker, freshman, number 15, Savannah Havander. At outside hitter, sophomore, number 24, Jamie Holton. And at libero, senior, number 2, Blake O'Brien. The Monarchs are coached by Eddie Matthews and assisted by Wendy Simmons. Now, starting for the Knights, at middle blocker, senior, number 2, Jelaine Peterson. At outside hitter, junior, number 3, Brenna Clyde.
It absolutely will be. It's already a loud atmosphere here in the barn in beautiful Buena Vista, Virginia. And Justin, as a member of the men's volleyball team here at Southern Virginia, you've been a part of these conference tournaments before. Could you embody your own inner Bob Ross and paint us a picture of just what goes into these games, the emotions, and just what does it take to play in a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, the nerves are definitely heightened because you know if you lose, that's your season, that's it. Everything you've worked towards is over. And so you definitely want to be playing at your best. I know Southern Virginia and Methodist have played a few times before with Southern Virginia winning both of those matches in 5, I believe. And so they know they can have confidence that they're capable of beating this team. And on the opposing side, rather, they kind of have a grudge, I'd say. I know every time we lose to somebody, we look forward to our next matchup. We study the team, we study what we did wrong, what we can do better, and we come prepared to beat them. And so I'm sure that's what Methodist did. And so both teams are, I'm sure, are ready for a fight, and it's going to be a good match. I'm excited to watch.
It absolutely is. Again, like you mentioned, Justin, both these teams faced off twice this year. Both games going to 5 sets. And so we expect to be here for the long haul tonight. We expect this to be a longer volleyball broadcast than maybe your typical game would be. And like you said, conference matchups, you're familiar with one another. You learn about one another every single time you play against each other. And you and I actually covered an earlier matchup of this game earlier this year. And some of the players we were talking about that are going to be a big factor for Methodist are going to be Gianna Fowler, who actually in their previous matchup just 3 days ago had 15 kills. And, of course, you had Anaya Tate, who had 17 kills, Savannah Hovander with 12 kills, and Jamie Holton, who had 13 to her name. And then for Southern Virginia's side, leading the way, no surprise here, both Brenna Clyde and Sydney Bassett at 18 kills apiece. Then Jelaine Peterson with 10 kills. And, I mean, these are two teams that are on a very similar trajectory. Southern Virginia winning 6 of their last 8. Methodist winning 6 of their last 9. And here we are with a serve from Hoofman. Fowler gets a hit.
Good pickup by Jessica.
In the net here, I believe they're going to call it on Fowler.
Net touch called. First point goes SVU.
And that's a good way to start if you're the Knights. And, you know, one thing we've talked about a lot of times in this broadcast this year is just the difference in the energy on Southern Virginia's side going from the beginning of the season to now. I mean, it's been such a night and day difference, both in maturity, in execution, and just general feel on the bench at Southern Virginia. As Clyde comes in there, swing is a little low, so point will go to the Monarchs.
Yeah, so first error for the Knights there. That's something that they're going to want to avoid today, or tonight rather, is those hitting errors. I think in women's volleyball there's an importance of high hitting percentage. Whoever can make less errors is going to win.
And Fowler gets her hands on that one, but it's going to go out. Point for Southern Virginia. And you mentioned Brenna Clyde and trying to limit your errors as much as possible. You know, looking into this game, again, we talked about Fowler in the middle for Methodist. And you also, of course, have Hovander as a middle blocker. 2 immovable objects. And then, of course, you have players on Southern Virginia's side like, you know, Sydney Bassett and Brenna Clyde, like right there. That's an unstoppable force. So when those two things meet, which one is going to give? The unstoppable force or the immovable object?
Yeah. We'll find out.
Indeed we will. And Bassett back to serve. The Knights currently have a 3-1 lead here in this first set.
Good pass, handled well.
The Knights getting the best of Fowler on that one with both Green and Clyde right there.
Just unable to connect there in the middle, which is probably disappointing for them. They're hoping to connect with their middle. As we said before, she was their their strong hitter last match.
Here's Bassett once again.
Good pass once again.
Ensley diving all over the place early on in this one. And Madeline trying to dig that one out of the net. That's always a difficult challenge.
Yeah, Brenda Clyde unable to get that out of system ball nice and high and off the net, which led to an error from Brooklyn.
And now coming in to serve is number 21, Carrie Jordan, the sophomore from Clinton, North Carolina. Nice low serve. Ensley able to get it up. Here's Madeline. Able to keep that inside the antenna, and that's going to go down for her. She was fading outside and took everything she had to keep it in play.
Yeah, one of the big things that we talk about in volleyball is bettering the ball. You can't make an excuse or say whoever made the previous contact did a bad job. Your job is to better the ball, and that's exactly what she did there.
Absolutely. Here is the pass here, and Ensley diving once again. Bassett just having to send it back over.
Free ball for Methodist. Let's see what they can do here.
Last second decision there from Bassett to let it go to Ensley, and it'll fall to the ground. Point for Methodist. We'll see Hovander come back onto the floor, and Fowler, actually scratch that. It'll be Blake O'Brien back to serve. She has 39 service aces on the year, so she is lethal from behind the line.
Back set to Brent Clyde, back row. Good swing, but dug well. Tip is picked up. The Knights are just unable to get it back over.
The second time where they've had an awkward play at the net where they can't quite dig it out. But, of course, after the great play there from Savannah Hovander. And O'Brien back to serve once again.
Good pass. Perfect pass even.
Hoofman trying a little trickery there. I've seen you try to pull it off a couple times yourself, Madsen.
Yeah.
And that point ties it up at 5 apiece. And, you know, going back to these two teams' last matchup just 3 days ago on the 4th of this month, the Knights actually started off a little slow in that one, falling in the first set 19-25. And then the second set was a duel. As that goes down for Madeline, the Knights take back the lead. But that second set just a couple days ago, Southern Virginia won it 32-30. So really going the distance, really competitive, and not giving up at all, especially after losing that first set. You don't want to drop 2 in a row.
Absolutely. Nikki Stevenson back to serve for the Knights.
Does a lot of great work coming in off the bench to serve.
Really good serve receive so far in this first set. Opportunity here for the Knights.
Here's Madeline. They're going to call in the net. I believe they're going to say Hovander. Excuse me, that's actually going to be, indeed, it'll be Savannah Hovander. Was right the first time.
Yeah.
Stevenson back to serve once again. The Knights up by 2 here in the first set. Right into the net. And that's going to go down for Jamie Holton, who had 13 kills in their previous matchup. Comes into this game with 366 kills on the season. And we'll see number 13, Georgia Van Kirk, back to serve. Oh, excuse me, that's actually Julia Mundy, number 13. Sophomore from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Here's Hoofman to Madeline. They've gone to Madeline pretty frequently early on, and it works out.
Yeah, on the Methodist side, the middles they've received about 6 out of 10 of the sets, which is interesting. They're really focusing on setting their middles, and it's been working pretty well for them so far. But
And I think a lot of it just has to go down to the fact that in this matchup, they've been the most effective of all of their hitters.
Right. Another great pass.
Hovander.
Good dig.
Stevenson diving, keeping it alive. Bassett getting back over to Hovander right there, ready for it. They had a decent setup there, but that second pass to Bassett way outside, and she really had to readjust her approach. Here's Jamie Holton back to serve. The sophomore from Nags Head, North Carolina. That serve just short.
Free side out for the Knights.
That is the first service error from either squad so far tonight. And kind of like you were saying, Justin, earlier, is that both teams are receiving serves very well right now. No service aces, only one service error up to this point. It's been some clean volleyball. What a reaction there from Hewitt.
Yeah, great serve by Taryn, but they were able to pick it up.
And Hovander right there. We'll see Ensley come back onto the floor for Southern Virginia, and for Methodist, we will see Fowler come back on the floor, which is never a good sign for Southern Virginia. She tends to be a terror when she's on the floor.
Yes. A little out of system for the Knights. Good recycle here. Opportunity. Sydney with the swing.
Bassett laying the hammer down.
Really quick tempo from the Knights there. Super fun to watch.
There are a few things that get a crowd in Knight Arena louder than a hit from Sydney Bassett.
Right.
Very few things.
Sarah Hoofman back to serve. Overpass.
Bassett once again ready for it. Again, capitalizing on the rare receiving error. Not really able to get themselves in the system, and again, Bassett just licking at the chops on that one.
Right.
3-point lead for Southern Virginia. Here's Hoofman. Here's Fowler. Ensley to Clyde. That's going to be just in.
Great cut from Brenna Clyde. Not an easy shot to do as a right hand opposite.
And we'll have a timeout by Methodist. And the Knights now up by 4 in this first set, and the Knight faithful are loud here tonight. We saw students carrying in boxes and boxes of pizza. They're here to stay for a long while. This is going to be a party.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to see everybody show up for their fellow teams.
Indeed, their fellow classmates and all the sorts. And right now, looking at the stats, Southern Virginia, Brooklyn Madden leading the way with 4 kills to her name, Brenna Clyde with 3, Bassett with 2. And for Methodist, you have the usual suspects, Fowler, Hovander, and Holton, both with 2 kills apiece. Madeline right now hitting at a hitting percentage of .667, leading both teams in that category. And of course, Hoofman leading the way with 8 assists. And with Diggs, Ensley leads the way in that category with 5. And again, this being a conference tournament game, all the emotions are on the table. And then we're only in the first set.
Right.
I mean, this is only going to get more intense as we go. But just to give you sort of a preface into the USA South Volleyball Tournament, tonight we have Meredith playing against North Carolina Wesleyan. That's number 1 seed versus number 8 seed. Then William Peace versus Salem. That's number 4 versus number 5. Then Methodist versus Southern Virginia. That is Southern Virginia 3 versus Methodist 6. And then Greensboro versus Brevard 2 and 7. And the winner of this one will go on to face the winner of the Brevard-Greensboro game on Thursday, November 9th. And so really that's kind of your focus is live to fight another 2 days.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole mentality.
Right. But you got to take one match at a time.
Exactly. So we'll have Hoofman back to serve once again. Knights up by 4. That ceiling comes into play. Welcome to the barn. You can expect to hear those chants any moment now.
Yeah, it is disappointing as a passer because that was a great pass, but the barn turns it into an ace for the Knights.
I'm sure that was very frustrating for you first coming here to Southern Virginia, worrying about the ball or the ceiling, because you, of course, being the back row, passing all the time. That's your job.
Good dig. Once again, the barn coming into effect there.
So now it makes it a 6-point lead for Southern Virginia. Hoofman back to serve once again. Feels like she's been back there forever. But Southern Virginia is more than content to keep it that way.
Good hard serve. Puts Methodist out of system. Free ball for the Knights.
Hoofman to Bassett. Somehow the Knights able to recover after Green missed on her swing.
Good dig from Sarah. Good touch. Free ball for Methodist. Let's see if they can convert. Slide.
Fowler.
Doesn't work.
Here's Clyde.
Was there a touch called? No.
Very, very close. I think Blake O'Brien was barely able to get out of the way in time. Barely, and I mean by an inch. And we'll see number 16, Mahala Carter, come onto the floor with Hewitt back to serve. Hoofman tracking that down somehow. That one will go down as a point for Fowler.
Yeah, I think the Knights, they they can know that if Methodist is getting a free ball, they're going to their middles,
Right.
which you don't really want to be predictable as a setter. So we'll see if Methodist mixes it up a little bit.
Here's Hoofman to Bassett on the far side. That was Tate and Fowler getting their hands on that one. They're going to try Bassett again. Must have liked what they saw. That's going to hit the floor.
Tip works.
Indeed it does. Brings it back within 3. Very similar to how we saw the last time around. One team would gain a bit of momentum, get a couple of points of a lead, and then the other team would battle back and make it a little bit more interesting.
Right.
And that's the sign of two competitive teams where no one lets the other team have a long run. That hit from Clyde, a little out, brings it within 2.
Number 6, Hannah Hewitt back to serve once again.
And so, Justin, you've been in games like this where it's so back and forth and you can't really maintain a long run of momentum. What is something that you can do to really get over that and come out on top? What are some things you've seen that have helped your teams with that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things you can do is keep your serves in. Big swing from Brenna Clyde.
That definitely helps, too,
Yeah.
getting hits like that from Brenna Clyde.
Yeah, that'll definitely increase the energy and momentum for your team. But yeah, like I was saying, I think getting serves in is a key factor in that, because you can side out as much as you want, but you're not going to get any lead if you don't get your serves in and are able to go on runs with your serve.
And I hate to diminish serves like this, but it's basically you're saying get the little things right.
Right.
Don't hurt yourself with the little things.
Absolutely.
That way you can expand and actually get a good attack going.
And it's actually been really impressive so far in this first set. There's not a lot of missed serves.
Right.
So both teams are doing well in that aspect.
Bassett on that serve.
Dealt with well.
And that one just out. Actually, they're going to say that it was tipped. Point for Methodist. So now back to serve for the Monarchs will be Carrie Jordan. It's a 3-point set right now. 16-13. Nice float serve from Jordan. Clyde flying in. And it's going to fall to the floor. Point Southern Virginia.
Really well done from Brenna Clyde. That was a little tight. She was able to still get a really good hard swing on it.
And we'll see Peterson come back onto the floor for Southern Virginia, the lone senior who was honored last week. Peterson right away making an impact, getting her hands on that one.
Absolutely.
Again.
I love seeing it.
She came off the bench ready to go.
We got to talk.
That's twice now where communication has cost the Knights points.
Right. Yeah, I know I said this before, but the worst thing you can do is assume that your teammates know who's going for it. So you just have to say it. Even if you think it's obvious, you have to talk.
I mean, there's the old adage about assuming that I'm not going to repeat here on broadcasting, but you know exactly what I'm talking about and what results from that. That's exactly right.
Pass a little off the net.
Here's Madeline.
Tip.
Diving
Picked
effort
up.
there.
Free ball for the Knights. They're going to go Jelaine.
Oh, Peterson. Again, she came in, tipped 3 balls right away as soon as she came on the floor. Gets a kill right there. And we'll see Nikki Stevenson come on the floor to serve. The Knights now with a 4-point lead, 18-14 here in the first set of this USA South Conference tournament game. A lot of the Knight faithful on their feet as we near the end of this first set.
Really hard serve. Good touch from Brooklyn.
And that one's going to sail out, but like you said, what a dig from Brooklyn Madeline to keep that alive in the first place. Coming onto the floor for the Monarchs is number 13, Julia Mundy, and she'll be serving. It's been maintained between about a 3 or 4 point differential so far in this set. Ensley, last second, having to adjust. Madeline's hit is just short.
Yeah, big block from Savannah Hovander there.
Indeed, brings it within 2. And much like we've seen in the other 2 matchups this year, neither team's going to go away easy.
Right. Overpass.
No tip. It's going to be out. Point for Southern Virginia. What a lucky break there. Ensley literally saying, whew, wiping her brow after that play.
Absolutely.
Here is Brooklyn Madeline back to serve. She had 15 kills in the previous match between these two teams. And then, see right there, Holton into the net.
2 in a row there for Holton.
And the Knights are the first to reach 20 in the first set. Here's Hovander. Diving effort from Stevenson, but it's going to fly out. Point for the Monarchs.
Yeah, you'll see that back attack from the middles. It's called a slide. You see that a lot in women's volleyball, and it works for them. Kind of a fun set to watch.
Indeed, when it's well executed, it's really hard to stop, especially coming across the court. Hoofman somehow got it past Anaya Tate. Peterson gets that one.
Finds the open corner. Beautiful shot by Jelaine there.
And that one didn't have the most amount of power on it, but it was right where it needed to be, and oftentimes that's more important.
Absolutely. That's all it takes.
Now coming in to serve is Taryn Anderson. That was a dagger. That one was on a line all the way across the floor. Beautiful serve from Anderson. Makes it a 5-point lead. Tries for the same spot once again, this time too far to the outside.
When you have this kind of a lead late in the set, you do feel a little more comfortable hitting it hard and risking those low percentage shots. And so I think that's what she went for there, and didn't quite turn out how she wanted it to.
One of those risk versus reward situations, that one sails out on Hovander.
3-point for the Knights there.
And like we've been talking about, there's been very few of those so far today. Fortunately for Southern Virginia, both of those have gone their way.
Right.
2 service errors to none for the Monarchs. Here's Hoofman back to serve. Here's Fowler.
Big swing from Fowler there. That's their go-to.
She saw the Knights are 2 points away from closing out the set and basically just said, not on my watch. That's not happening. We'll see Hannah Hewitt back to serve.
Fowler has 11 attempts so far, with the second being 5. More than double.
Here's Hoofman to Bassett. That one sails on her. Looking for a tip, not going to get one. Bassett so far with 2 kills on the day.
Good pass from Jessica.
And Green, she gets hers. Makes it set point.
Sydney Bassett back to serve for set point.
And Bassett comes to today's game with 49 service aces on the year. Tate on the receive. Here's Fowler. Tipped up. Fowler right there to defend against Green. Here's Clyde.
Net touch called to end the set.
And that's Fowler once again, who's the guilty party. And like you said, that brings this first set to a close. The Knights take it 25-20. And really the Knights, although Methodist came back on a couple occasions, brought it within 2, maybe 1 point at the closest, but the Knights maintained good consistency throughout that entire first set. And of course, we're able to close it out. You gotta love to see that.
Right. I think one of the biggest differences here, what gave SVU the lead in that first set is, like I said, the hitting percentage. Methodist hit a 194 with SVU hitting a 220. If Methodist wants to stay in this match, I think they just need to limit those errors like we've been saying.
Right, I mean, we're looking at, block errors. There's 5 of those compared to Southern Virginia's 1. Then service errors we mentioned, 2 to Southern Virginia's 1. And I mean, that's the difference in that set.
Absolutely.
Right there. I mean, you can just look at all these stats. I mean, like you said, hitting percentage, there's a difference there. But that's the main thing. If you're hurting yourself, you're obviously going to be the one that does not come out on top. And so I imagine in between these sets, we're going to see Coach Eddie Matthews from Methodist really break down and let them know, like, hey, we just got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right.
We're a good team. They've shown it throughout the entire year. I mean, they've played Southern Virginia to 5 sets every single time and have been right on the cusp. And he says, hey, we just need to execute, and we're right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if we go to the Knights side, I think our mindset going into the second set should be we have good momentum. We're connecting well. We're passing well. Just don't let up. Keep that momentum going, and we can win this. They're doing well.
They absolutely are. And we want to give a quick shout out to all those who partner with Southern Virginia Athletics local businesses. Of course, we got Cornerstone Bank, Mill Creek Orthodontics, River Crossing Apartments, Straws, Drinks and Eats, where they have trivia night this Friday. Grace Automotive, where SVU students and staff can receive 10% off their vehicle maintenance needs. Papa John's Pizza, locally owned and operated. Vinyl Cuts, The Beef, Sweet Souvenirs, and Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express. And if you would like to partner with Knights Athletics to promote your business to the Knight Nation, please contact Brett Schroeder at 801-633-1894. That's 801-633-1894. I imagine some of those local restaurants will get a bit of business after tonight's game. There's going to be some hungry people after all the energy that is spent in this conference tournament game. And again, I alluded to it earlier on in the broadcast how everyone looks forward to this part of the year. I mean, if you're a football fan, you know, you get into the thick of the regular season, getting into playoff game, and then NBA is starting, college basketball starting, volleyball, of course, in the playoffs, their conference tournaments. I mean, what can you not like about being a sports fan right now?
Right.
And then the World Series for the MLB just wrapped up. I mean, goodness, there's plenty of things to watch, and we're thankful that you back at home are watching this game with us here on Knights Broadcasting. So be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and comment down below some of your highlights of the game, as well as let us know how we can improve your viewing pleasure of Southern Virginia athletics. We appreciate your support.
Set 2 is about underway. Methodist should be serving first.
And again, this is a team that's able to bounce back. They've been able to do a lot of great things so far this year, coming into today's game 16-9 overall.
Right.
Same record as Southern Virginia in conference play, 11-7. And so this is a team that can absolutely get it done time and time again. And again, like I alluded to earlier, I would not be shocked at all in any way. In fact, I'd be shocked if we didn't go to 5.
Right. Yeah, this isn't the first time they've been in this situation. They know how to handle the pressure, and we'll see what they do today or tonight.
Back to serve is Hannah Hewitt. The crowd noise now becoming a factor. Hoofman to Green. Does a smart thing and tries to avoid Fowler. And that is going to be Green.
And that touch called on the block there. The first point goes to Methodist.
So we're seeing kind of a reverse of what happened in the first set. For those who are just joining us, Southern Virginia won that first set 25-20. Methodist now striking first. High arching serve. Bassett having to fly in there and just tip it over. Beautiful placement from Fowler.
Power tip there from Fowler. Finds the court in front of the 10-foot line.
She just rose up and just found the spot right there. Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
Another high arching serve. Here's Bassett flying in.
Good swing, but dug well.
Now it's Hewitt on the dig.
Out of system ball to Brenna Clyde.
Diving effort there from Hewitt once again. And then O'Brien there. Seen some great defense so far in the second set from the Monarchs. The ceiling affecting the Monarchs once again.
Lots of good defense there from Methodist.
I just feel like everybody was in the right position all the time on that rally.
Right.
We got Sydney Bassett back to serve for the Knights. They trail 1-2.
Good pass, a little low.
Clyde straight down, picture perfect block. Doesn't get any better than that. That was Mahala Carter on the hit.
Yeah, when the set is low and tight like that, there's not much you can do as a hitter
Right.
when there's a big, solid block there.
That's Tay on the receive. Gets in the back corner, and Anaya Tay finally gets involved.
Good swing from Tate there, able to find the corner.
I mentioned her at the beginning of the broadcast where she led the way as far as kills is concerned in the last matchup with 17. gets her first of the night.
Carrie Jordan back to serve for Methodist.
Difficult receive for Ensley. She wants that one back. And we'll see Jordan back to serve once again.
And if I'm not mistaken, that should be the first ace there for Methodist.
Things are starting to balance themselves out statistically. Here's Madeline. Off the hand of Carter. So point for Southern Virginia. They bring it back within 1, and we'll see Peterson come back on the floor for Southern Virginia. And Ensley back to serve.
Methodist with a 1-point lead here in the second set. Pass is a little off the net. Set is tight.
Clyde has got the tip there. Here's Ensley to Madeline. Tipped up by, I believe, Fowler. No approach needed, just jumping straight up with the power on that one.
Very athletic approach by Fowler there. Ball was a little bit behind her, but she's still able to put that ball down. Super impressive.
I mean, there's a reason why we've been talking up Fowler so far in this broadcast, because of plays like that she makes on a regular basis. Hovander got her hand on that one. Here's Clyde again. What a great job from Hewitt. And I believe that was tipped by, actually, no, they're just going to say it was in. We'll see Fowler back to serve once again. The Monarchs have a 3-point lead. So, again, very much flipped roles here in the second set.
Right, pressure seems to be on the Knights here in the second. Strong attacks, high hitting percentage from Methodist.
Fowler trying to keep that alive and goes near us. For a second, I thought I'd have to dive out of the way. I could see someone dive over the table. We definitely do not advise that. But point for Southern Virginia with Nikki Stevenson back to serve.
With eight attempts, Methodist is hitting a 500, which is very good so far. We'll see if they can keep that up. Pass is just off the net, out of system here.
Hovander getting it over. Hoofman to Madeline. Off the hand of Carter. Knights bring it back within 1.
Nikki Stevenson back to serve for the Knights.
We'll see if she can help the Knights tie this thing up. Maybe take back some momentum that they lost after the first set. Here's Hovander. Hoofman got her hand on that one. Hovander again. Ensley keeps it alive. And then Madeline trying to dig it out of the net. But point for the Monarchs.
Yeah, if I'm Methodist, I'd like to see these passes just a little bit tighter. They seem to be around the 10-foot line and back. That eliminates my middle option, and that's their go-to is their middle. So if I'm Methodist, I'm going to try to pass a little bit tighter so we can run those middles.
Serving that one was Julia Mundy. Peterson rising up for that one. Maybe swinging a little late on it. Maybe the timing of the slide wasn't quite right. But makes it a 3-point deficit now with Mundy back to serve once again.
Good pass from Nikki Stevenson.
Madeline. And that drops right in front of Holton. Brings it back within 2. And right now, you're in a situation where if you're Southern Virginia, you are working without Bassett or Clyde, 2 of your biggest hitters on the floor. And so the fact that Southern Virginia in the first set really had no problems. And that just shows the confidence that Coach Baker has in this lineup she has right now. Of course, that goes down for Holton. And we'll see Anaya Tate come back onto the floor with Holton back to serve. Monarchs re-extended the lead to 3. Hoofman to Bassett. They're going to call a double here.
Double called on Sarah Hoofman there.
A little surprised to see that. I mean, then again, we're a little bit further away from the floor than the refs are. We'll have to leave it to their judgment there.
Going back to Sydney there. Ball's hit just wide. Sometimes on that line shot, it's easy to overturn it, and it's a narrow window that you have to hit that line shot. And so sometimes you overcompensate and hit it wide, just like she did there.
Indeed, that can sometimes be the case. And now with the Knights, with a 5-point deficit, the largest deficit they have faced so far tonight. And so with that, Coach Debbie Baker of Southern Virginia calling a timeout. We talked about Methodist, being there before as far as situations like this. That is the exact same case with Coach Debbie Baker in Southern Virginia. Coach Debbie Baker reaching over 100 wins in her career as head coach for the Knights just a couple of weeks ago, and well-deserved by every meaning of the phrase. Multiple-time conference champion head coach, and again, she's been here before. She's been in games like this where you've lost a little bit of momentum. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot with missed passes or poor serves. Poor serves not really necessarily being the case tonight, but that has been the case in other games before. And so, Justin, I think I asked you sort of the flip question to this in the first set, where if you have momentum, what can you do to continue that and go over the edge? I'll ask you the flip side. If you're facing a slump and things aren't necessarily going your way, what are some things that you as a player can do to dig yourself out of that?
Yeah, what I try to do is bring the energy, the intention, and the focus. All you can do is what's under your control, and that's bringing energy, being loud, and working hard, hustling. I think also as a team you can simplify the game, just get it nice, the sets nice and high, pass the ball nice and high, and run some simple offense just to get the ball rolling a little bit if you're in a slump.
Absolutely, and that's not necessarily what Southern Virginia had in mind after the timeout, giving up a service ace to Jamie Holton. And I like what you said about simplifying the game a little bit. I guess some things that I've seen, people can kind of make a simplified goal. Like, okay, let's just get this part done in the game, and then we can be good from there and continue finding something else to work on. Tate able to dig that one up. Hoofman got her hand on that one. That'll reignite the Knights bench. And we'll see Maddie Green come back on the floor, as well as Taryn Anderson. It's like, go back to my high school basketball days. There'll be some days where you're just not shooting well.
Right.
Things aren't falling for you. And what we can do is, okay, what can we do? Who is hitting well? What's open? Let's find that, make that our goal, and then things just start to unfold from there.
Absolutely. Out of system here for Methodist.
And Hoofman not able to turn around in time as Tate wisely just little arch over the top.
Just over the block. Perfect height.
And we'll see Ensley back on the floor with number 2, Blake O'Brien, back to serve for the Monarchs. The Monarchs now up by 6. The largest lead for either side. Madeline.
Inside for Sydney.
And that's going to go out off of Fowler.
That's a tool for Sydney, which equals a kill.
And we'll see Brenna Clyde come back onto the floor for Southern Virginia. So now you have Bassett and Clyde as options, along with Maddie Green and Brooklyn Madeline. Here's Hoofman back to serve. The Knights need to go on a run here.
Pass off the net. Fowler able to find the top of the hands there on the block. Gets another kill for herself.
Indeed. And in a situation like this, you feel like at this point in the set, it's kind of grab momentum or see the set kind of fall away. I feel like this is kind of in that do or die area of the set.
Absolutely.
Here's Bassett. Ensley just having to pass it back over. Here's Fowler. Stopped by Green. Ensley to Bassett. We haven't really been able to see Bassett take a huge swing since early in the first set, but that'll go down for Southern Virginia. I mean, the 2 kills that Bassett has were emphatic kills. It was basically more of a quality over quantity situation we got going on right here, but I'm sure they'd like to get her more involved as she is serving right now.
Absolutely.
Here's Madeline. Right on the back line. Just what the doctor ordered. Knights now down by 4. Bassett back to serve again. Pass to Fowler. Green and Madeline were in on that block.
Yeah, it's a difficult play Methodist tried to make there. Pass was behind the 10-foot line, and they still tried to set the middle. Just imagine the ball coming behind you and you trying to hit it as it's coming with you. It's not a very easy shot to make.
Indeed, it is not. And Coach Eddie Matthews of Methodist will call a timeout as he sees his team's lead whittled down to just 3, as it was a 6-point lead just moments ago, and it looked like the Monarchs were in decent control of this set. But the Knights, as always, fighting back. And Fowler, since the end of the first set, has jumped up to the leaderboards as far as kills is concerned, with 9 to her name, and Hovander with 5. For Southern Virginia, Brenna Clyde with 8, Brooklyn Madlin with 8, Peterson with 4, and I mentioned Sydney Bassett with 2, and that's not for lack of trying. They've definitely tried to target Bassett a couple of times. A lot of times it's been sort of out of system, and she hasn't really been able to get a solid approach, hasn't really been able to get close to the net. But I feel like, we talk about the main difference in the first set being errors. I think, again, the roles just simply reversed this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see here, just if we go to the team stats, hitting percentage from Methodist is .227 and Southern Virginia .208 here in the second set, which is reversed. Southern Virginia was hitting better in the first. And so I think that's a big indicator of why we have this point differential and why Methodist is winning right now by 3. It really comes down to who can put the ball in, who can make less errors while hitting.
And again, a lot of that sounds simple in
right.
theory, but being on the floor, I mean, you know better than me, of course, in this situation. You know how difficult it is to change the trajectory of how things are going. And Clyde, rising up the free ball, knew exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, Methodist libero trying to read a ball going straight down, but Brenna ends up hitting that back line.
Now back within 2. And you saw Holton there really having a fight to keep that up, but then it'll fall for the Monarchs. Back to a 3-point lead.
Number 21, Carrie Jordan, coming in to serve.
And again, a 3-point lead for the Monarchs here in this second set of the first round of the USA South Conference tournament. Oh, Fowler.
Yes. Happy birthday to Fowler.
Honestly, she saw it flying towards her. It had a candle lit on it and everything.
She knows how to take care of those.
And we'll see Jordan back to serve once again. The Monarchs gaining back a little bit more momentum. Here's Madlin having to fly up to the net a little bit close for comfort, especially with Fowler right there. Fowler's one of those blockers where if you have a hitter approaching her, it makes you kind of second guess yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's Clyde.
High middle set, Doug. Out of system. Cool for number 24, Jamie Holton, and that'll be a kill for her.
And that's happened a couple times when the Knights have been able to get their hands on a ball as far as the middle blockers is concerned, and it falls behind them. They're trying to keep it alive, and it just doesn't quite work out for them.
Right.
And now the Knights are back to a 6-point deficit. So I guess timeout well spent for Methodist last time around.
Yeah, if we just look at the attempts here for Methodist, number 10, Fowler, has received 20 attempts, and the other middle, Hovander, has received 10. That's 30 sets that have gone to the middles out of around 45, 50 sets, which is more than half. And so if you're Southern Virginia, you're going to, I'm going to look at that and know if they're getting a free ball, I know who they're going to. I'm going to put up a big block. But even so, with that, Fowler and Hovander are doing a good job getting big swings, hitting around the block, and getting kills for their team.
Indeed, want to bring you a score update for the other USA South Conference tournament games happening right now. Greensboro is leading Brevard 12-8 in the second set. Greensboro College took the first set by a score of 25-11. So that game going just about how you might expect that game to go if you're aware of how those teams have performed so far this year. We'll continue to update you on other USA South Conference games as we go along. Now back to serve once again is Carrie Jordan. Hoofman to Madlin, once again close to the net. Good work there from Carter. Green able to get it back over. Fowler rising up.
Great athletic swing there again by Fowler, crossbody shot.
Indeed, I think they're going to say that it was green in the net that time. And finally, it feels like it's been a while since Southern Virginia had a play go their way.
O'Brien just unable to get her platform behind that ball, and the ball gets by her. Point goes to the Knights.
Here's Ensley back to serve.
Great pass by O'Brien. Good pickup from Sarah Hoofman there. Free ball for Methodist.
Let's see what they can do with it. Here's Hewitt to Fowler. And Fowler once again rising up.
Yeah, it's pretty unstoppable, that middle set. They keep going to her, and it's working, so don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Here's Fowler to serve. The Monarchs with a 7-point lead. Here's Madlin. That one falls from Madlin. Right in the back corner. Here's Nikki Stevenson coming in to serve for Southern Virginia. And right now, again, you're down by 6. Monarchs are able to be the first team to get to 20 in this set. You're basically at a point in the game where you can't have any mistakes right now. And that can add its own pressure that can make it almost easier to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Ensley somehow at least get in the way of Holton's hit there.
Yeah. Big hole there in the block.
And we'll see Julia Mundy back to serve as now they lead 21-14 in the second set.
Inside set for Madlin.
Peterson gets the best of Hovander in that exchange. Bit of an uncharacteristic play for Hovander. Now Madlin back to serve, the score being 21-15. The Monarchs still in the lead. Grazing the top of the net that time. Here's Holton.
Big swing from Holton there.
Indeed, able to get it past Madlin, make it 22-15 with Anaya Tate come back on the floor.
Yeah, Methodist is just really connecting in the second set. They're getting, their hitting percentage is really good. Putting a lot of pressure on the Knights.
Here's Bassett. Goes right back at her. Makes it 23-15.
Yeah, like we were saying before, you can't give up on either of these teams. Southern Virginia won that first one, and Methodist is fighting right back and about to take the second.
Bassett trying to deal with that low set. Diving effort there from Madlin.
Good save from the Knights.
There's a slide from Hovander. Gets the best of Stevenson.
Yep.
Make it set point.
Constant pressure is too much for the Knights here in the second.
Here is Jamie Holton back to serve. Potential to put away this second set, tie it up at 1 set apiece. Anaya Tate takes care of that. And just like that, we're tied up at 1 set apiece. I mean, we told you, you're in for a long game tonight.
Absolutely.
You can get used to this back and forth. And, you know, Justin, I got to ask. This is just the silly part of my brain wondering this. Is there ever any sort of superstition? Because both teams that have been on the right side of the floor have won. Is there ever that superstition on the floor for you as a player?
For me as a player, not really, but you hear that a lot from coaches even. In the 5th set, during the coin toss, you get to choose a side, and usually teams will choose the winning side, which is kind of funny. But
I mean, there's superstition in all sports. But with that out of the way, silly question aside, it's, again, been exactly what we expected it to be. Southern Virginia had the momentum in the first set, and then Monarchs really stormed back, won that second set by 10 points, really flipping the script. And I don't really think it's a lot of it had to do with Southern Virginia serving errors or a lot of errors or anything like that. I just really think that Methodist was just more in system consistently than they were in that first set.
Absolutely, and that can be attributed to their passing, right? Your hitting percentage, your kills, your sets can always be attributed to the previous contact, which is the pass. They're passing better passes and digging more. In the first set, Methodist is hitting a 194, and in the second, they're hitting a 412. That's a huge increase.
Right.
And that's, like we said, that's due to the increased quality of passing and connection with the setters and hitters.
And Justin, you've had a lot of interaction with Coach Debbie Baker. She's very much been a part of men's volleyball's program as well. Knowing her, what do you think she is saying to Southern Virginia's bench at this moment?
Yeah, she's telling them what they need to fix. I think they're not happy with how many kills they're getting, how many balls are getting past their block, and so she's telling them we need to press. We need to make sure our block is closed. There's no holes in those blocks, and we're pressing and making sure that we're getting more touches and blocks because we can't allow them to be getting kills so easily on us.
And indeed, it looked like it was a lot easier in that second set for Methodist than the first set. I mean, we talked about the difference that both plays of middle blockers on either side is going to be. I feel like the middle blocks for Southern Virginia in that second set, I mean, I'm not going to say they kind of took a set off, but it just seemed like they just weren't as involved, or maybe Methodist was able to work around them a bit more than the previous set. And so I'm curious to see how they fix that, how much more involved the middle blockers are, how much more they set the middle blockers. I'm just curious to see how they change it up. We'll see Ensley come onto the floor for Southern Virginia. Still waiting for the Monarchs to break this huddle here.
Yeah, we have one set apiece. Can't count either of these teams out. It's as if we reset the match 0-0. It's one apiece. Methodist does have a little bit momentum going into this third with their big lead, but like I said, you can't count either of these teams out. It's anybody's game.
It absolutely is. Again, being conference tournament time. A lot of crazy things happen. I mean, you look at the NCAA basketball tournament. I mean, you can have a 16 seed beat a number 1 seed. You could have anything happen on any given day. It's college athletics for you. That's what makes it so beautiful and fun, honestly.
Absolutely.
And we'll see a change in uniform for the libero for Methodist. I believe we saw this last time around for Blake O'Brien.
Interesting.
And Sarah Hoofman back to serve for Southern Virginia. And again, Southern Virginia looking to right the ship. A lot of the Knight faithful on their feet, trying to bring the energy they so desperately need.
Great pass from Methodist.
Holton able to keep it alive. Here's Tate. And that'll land out. Point for Methodist. And that time, Maddie Green able to do a lot better job of quickly turning around, finding the ball, which is extremely hard to do. It's very disorienting.
Absolutely.
And we'll see number 6, Hannah Hewitt, back to serve.
High arching serve.
Here's Bassett.
Out of system here for Methodist. Able to get a good swing off, but dug well by Jessica. Swing from Brenna Clyde. And a kill for the Knights. Set is tied 1-1.
Might as well say good night after that hit. My goodness. Here's Bassett back to serve, ties it up at 1 apiece. Knights doing a better job of not letting Methodist kind of run away with the lead early on in this set like the previous one. Fowler trying to work with a short set. And that will be 4
touches.
And the Knights with a quick lead here in the third set. Here's Bassett. Bassett has been targeting Tate in that back row. Green able to recover. Hoofman to Clyde.
Brenna just unable to get it over the net there.
I think that set went quicker than she expected. She took a step back and had to quickly reapproach and basically got it when the ball was a little further down than she would have liked.
Right.
And we'll see Carrie Jordan back to serve once again. Hoofman to Madeline, gets it past Fowler. And that could be kind of dangerous aiming inside, going up against the middle blocker like Fowler. But Madeline able to make it work.
Absolutely.
Here's Ensley.
Good touches here from Methodist, keeping it alive.
And that's going to fly into the crowd. A point for the Monarchs, but the Knight faithful having a little bit of fun there. And I mean, that was like a pinball machine right there on Methodist side. Somehow able to keep it floating. And we'll see Blake O'Brien back to serve. Here's Peterson. Hovander is going to swing just on the line. As close to the line as you can possibly get with it still being in.
Yeah, good heads-up play by Hovander there. It wasn't an easy hit to make, and she did it.
Here's Clyde flying in. That's tipped.
Head
Clearly.
off the top of the block, yep.
Ties it back up at 4. And we'll see Stevenson back on the floor again.
Now serving the Knights, number 13, Nikki Stevenson.
One thing I really love about Knight Stadium is that as the game gets more intense, I mean, obviously there's a rule for most arenas, but I feel like this one in particular, just because the condensed space, is that the longer the game goes on, the louder that it gets.
Yeah.
And Justin, I was telling you before the game that there was a couple years ago where we didn't have the chance to hear each other in these headsets, and you'd have to lean in close, really get to know each other in order to hear what the other was saying. Here's Madeline. That one sails out.
Overturns it there on the line. Ball goes wide. Another hitting error for the Knights.
Make it a 2-point lead for Methodist. That one just short.
Free side out there for Southern Virginia.
It had been a while since we'd seen a service error from Methodist, but that makes 3 total in today's contest.
Madeline back to serve.
Tipped up by Peterson. And Methodist has been ready anytime, and then Bassett right there for the block. What I was going to say is that Hoofman has tried a couple times, just try to quickly set it over the net, try to catch Methodist unawares, but they've been ready every single time.
Hasn't really worked for her. Methodist doing a good job of picking that up and reading that. Great pass.
The slide. Hovander
connect.
Swing and a miss. And it's, again, when you look at a player like Hovander, who is so skilled and so consistent, seeing her miss a hit like that is a rare thing. The Knights take back the lead. Hoofman got her hand on that one.
Sydney just getting in front of Madeline there.
And we will see Holton back to serve. Tied up at 7 apiece. Bassett flying in.
Good recovery there from Sarah. Inside set, tipped, picked up by Sydney Bassett. Inside set to her, big swing, dug well though.
O'Brien right there. And Hoofman.
I think the Knights are seeing a lot more touches on the block, but just like they, I think Debbie was saying in between sets.
I love Sarah Hoofman's reaction whenever she gets a block. Not really emotion shown, just turns around, cold face, staring at the crowd.
Yep.
She's like, you know what I just did. O'Brien having to send it over. Here's Bassett. Tipped by Hovander. Point Southern Virginia. The Knights have a 2-point lead. And here is Taryn Anderson. Once again, the Knights middle blockers right there. Back row, Madeline, a little wide. That's definitely an adjustment that I've seen the Knights make so far in this second set as well, as the blockers are more in time with each other, and then, of course, most of the time it's been Sydney Bassett near the middle to recover when it gets past them.
Right.
We didn't see a whole lot of that in that second set. Here's Hovander.
Pass is off the net, out of system here. See what Sydney can do. She tips it over.
They're going to say that Bassett was in the net.
Set is all tied up, 9 apiece.
And we'll see Hovander back to serve. Another score update in the USA South Conference Tournament. Greensboro College won the second set against Brevard College. That serve going out on Hovander. And with that game, makes it Greensboro College has 2-0 lead over the Tornadoes. And the Knights able to retake the lead 10-9 with Hoofman back to serve. Hewitt sprinting to get to it. Big swing from Clyde. Hewitt sprinting.
Free ball here for the Knights.
Bassett close to the net. Really having to lean over on that one.
Yeah, set wasn't quite where she expected it to be, but she's an athlete and she's able to adjust and get the kill there for the Knights.
It's the same thing with volleyball players and basketball players, able to adjust in the air to make the play that you need to. Like you said, the innate athletic ability to do that.
Right.
Here we go. Great reaction from Bassett, but Fowler again right there to make the play. We can probably expect to see a little bit of momentum shift towards Methodist now that Fowler is back on the floor. And Hannah Hewitt back on the floor, or back to serve, rather. Bassett flying in. That's going to be out. And we'll see Hewitt back to serve once again as it's tied 11 apiece. Bassett trying to redeem herself, and that one sails on her as well. She had plenty of height on that leap.
Just unable to get on top of that ball. Sails it out of bounds. Methodist with the 1-point lead here. Good pass from Madeline. Goes out to Brenna.
Swings just a little low. Fowler right there. 2-point lead for the Monarchs. I think I just saw Fowler kind of breathe a sigh of relief as you saw the ball heading straight towards her off the hit from Clyde. There's sometimes as a volleyball player where you're just very grateful that the net is there.
Yeah.
Here's Clyde across the middle. And that's been pretty effective for Southern Virginia when they've hit in the middle, even though Fowler is there.
Right.
It's the outside that's really been a struggle for them. Knights bring it back within 1. Fowler. What else can you say? And we'll see Jordan back to serve for Methodist as they now have a 2-point lead. With that play, Fowler has 14 kills on the night.
Both teams not having the best hitting percentages in this third set, which can be attributed to good defense as well, not only hitting errors.
Good pass from Ensley. Here's Madeline. That's a good point for Southern Virginia as it was off of Fowler.
Yeah, Madeline doing a good job of hitting the ball off of the block and out of bounds.
For a split second, I thought I might have just been off the net into the antenna. But now we'll see Ensley back to serve. The Knights bring it back within 1. They need a play here. Fowler leaning back. The teardrop from Bassett. Fowler hesitating at the top because she knew that, I believe it was Peterson who was right there, able to get it past her.
Methodist with a 2-point lead now.
I mean, sometimes just that split-second hesitation that can make a whole lot of difference. And timing in the block.
Absolutely.
Clyde lays down the thunder.
Good deep corner swing from Brenna Clyde.
And now we'll see Stevenson back on the floor to serve. I mean, honestly, I kind of just want to start calling Clyde and Bassett Thunder and Lightning. I feel like that's a very fitting description for their hitting styles.
Absolutely. Good save.
Hovander, great effort. Madeline flying in. Hewitt keeping it alive. Holton. A diving effort from Hoofman. Bassett able to get it past Hovander. Ties it back up at 15. I mean, it wasn't a pretty rally.
Scrappy.
Indeed. That's a great word to describe it. Was scrappy. Tied at 15 apiece here in the third set.
Ball is served just long.
And when you have a float serve like that, sometimes it can get kind of hard to tell when the ball kind of gets its second wind, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very difficult to pass float serves when there's no spin. It kind of has a mind of its own.
We have Mundy back to serve. Great dig there from Jordan. That's going to sail off from Hovander. Hovander's had some frustrating plays for her so far today. Not able to quite have the consistency that we're used to seeing from her. And tied up again at 16. Here's Holton. What a play from Stevenson. And Bassett able to block it. I want to go back to what Stevenson just did. I mean, you as a back row specialist, I mean, I'm sure you can really appreciate what she did. I mean, obviously not able to get her team in the system, but the fact she was there to begin with.
Right. When the ball's hit that hard, you just have to be in the right place in order to dig that, and that's exactly what she did. She put herself in the right place.
Holton able to get it past Hoofman and tie it right back up. We'll see Anaya Tate come back onto the floor with Holton back to serve. And that'll be a service ace for Holton. Gets her second of the night. Hoofman to Peterson.
Great shot by Blaine Peterson. Hard cross. Right the slide.
Right past the 10-foot line. Like you said, I mean, can't do much better than that.
Yeah. Karen Anderson back to serve for the Knights. She's been a really good server for the Knights throughout the season. Good low, hard serve.
She has one service ace. Make that two. You know, they say there's the commentator curse. I sometimes call it a commentator blessing. You know, you say something good and they add on to that right away.
Absolutely.
Make it to where the stat you just said is now wrong. But Anderson back to serve once again. The Knights now have the lead, 19-18. And another point for Southern Virginia from the error by Tate. Timeout called by Methodist as they find themselves down by 2. The Knights the first team to reach 20 in this third set. And although we've seen these teams go to 5, we've talked about that a couple times already. They've gone to 5 twice so far this year. You kind of feel like this third set is a must-win for either side. In order to really have a lot of momentum and confidence going into the fourth and potentially final set, you feel like you kind of need this. And I feel like that's how Southern Virginia is playing right now.
Absolutely. You'll see in practices a lot of the times teams work on playing starting at 18. They play sets starting at 18 just to see who can finish the set. Once kind of point 18 comes around, that's when it's crunch time. That's when it's
right.
who can get the, even if it's a 1-point lead, that's all that's needed to win the set. And that's exactly what SVU is doing right now, is they're getting that 2-point lead late in the set, which is crucial.
Absolutely is. Again, we mentioned before the necessity to limit mistakes as much as possible, much like in football, the 2-minute drill. No mistakes can be had. Basketball, the final minute and a half, no mistakes can be had. It's the same exact concept. And now You're up 20-18. Come out of this timeout. If you're Southern Virginia, you have to make sure you stay locked in. You maintain that momentum. Because you know Methodist is going to come out firing with everything they have to fight to retain this third set.
Absolutely. And we're back from the timeout. Karen Anderson back to serve for the Knights.
The Knight faithful once again on their feet. We even see a lot of your teammates, Justin.
Yeah. I told them to pull up, support the girls.
That hit from Hovander. That was a solid throw, Justin.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm not. For those who didn't see it, came right over here to the announcer's table, and Hovander back to serve as the Monarchs find themselves down by 1.
Knights hoping to side out here.
Right on that back line.
On that back line. That's always frustrating as a passer, thinking it's going out and it just barely paints that back line.
And right now, Southern Virginia needs to think to themselves, okay, enough. We allowed 2 plays to happen here. We need to execute right here, right now. Here's Bassett. Exactly what you needed.
Yeah, number 6, Hannah Hewitt, just not pressing enough. Sydney Bassett able to take advantage and get the tool.
Here's Hoofman back to serve. Here's Fowler. Clyde flying in. Here's Tate. They're going to say
double called on Tate there.
That is a crucial mistake. Knights now with a 2-point lead.
Knights lose their 2-point lead right out of the timeout, but gain it right back.
And again, doing exactly what we needed to do, recovering right away, because you knew that, like I said before, Methodist is going to come out swinging, and Hoofman gets the service ace. Gets her second of the night.
Just a little bit more cushion there for SVU, but anything can happen.
Indeed, especially now that Methodist has called yet another timeout. Score is 23-20 here in this third set. And again, we've had a fantastic back and forth game so far, and it makes it to where that second set where Methodist really dominated for the most part just seems like such an outlier. Because other than that, it's just been back and forth within 2 or 3 points. Then you look at the final scores of the sets, the second set is like, that's not the same game. That is not the same game at all.
Yeah, Methodist played really clean volleyball in that second set. Good passing, really good connection with their hitters. I think that's kind of the epitome of what they're shooting for as their team. That's their system, is that second set, what we saw from them. Both teams not still, after averaging out a little bit late in the set, still hitting percentage isn't too hot for either teams. And that can be attributed to blocks, each team having 4 blocks and lots of digs as well.
Indeed, we will see if the Knights can close out this third set, take a 2-1 lead in the first round of the USA South Conference Tournament. Again, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting, so be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below what your favorite moments of the game have been so far. Here's Hoofman.
Perfect pass from Methodist.
And the Knights able to get underneath it, but not able to restrict Fowler from getting another point. And I think that's a big thing, too. You know, talk about the things that Methodist hasn't quite done in the third set compared to the second, is that Fowler has kind of been more of a non-factor in this set.
Right.
Here's Clyde. That's going to go out. And a timeout call for Southern Virginia. Coach Baker not liking what she's seeing.
Yeah, I think the commentator's curse just came into effect there. I was saying how anything's possible, and we're seeing it here.
I think that's honestly why the NCAA basketball tournament is so good, is because the announcers say that on a regular basis. Then therefore, bracket madness happens. That's why no one's been able to guess every single game right. It's because the commentators. It's their fault. Definitely heard that plenty of times. But during this timeout, I want to once again give a shout out to the partners of Knights Athletics. A lot of these are locally owned not banks, the locally owned businesses. Cornerstone Bank, Mill Creek Orthodontics, River Crossing Apartments, Straws Drinks and Eats, Grace Automotive, where SVU students and staff can receive 10% off their vehicle maintenance needs. Papa John's Pizza, locally owned and operated. Vinyl Cuts, The Beef, Sweet Souvenirs, and Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express. Thanks again for partnering with Knights Athletics. We appreciate you. And now, again, after that timeout, Southern Virginia looking to come out and just finish off this third set. I feel like we've been in the 20s point-wise in this set for, 30 minutes. Definitely hasn't been that long, but it definitely feels like it. And the Knights want it to end real quickly. Here is Hewitt back to serve. Here's Clyde across the middle. Fowler right there to meet her. Both Green and Bassett right there. Bassett there again. Here's Tate.
Good dig opportunity here for SVU.
Bassett able to get it past Fowler and Carter. Set point. Back-to-back times, Methodist went to Fowler to try to gain back some momentum, and both times, both Bassett and Green were there.
Right.
Here's Tate. Hoofman to Madlin. Fowler again.
Fowler with the tip, back over. Opportunity here for the Knights.
Here's Clyde. Great work from O'Brien.
Huge block. Ends the set. Set 3 goes to the Southern Virginia University Knights.
Clyde and Green right there. Again, I mentioned before the concept of the immovable object versus a unstoppable force. And that's exactly what Clyde and Green were on that last play. So with that, Southern Virginia, like you just said, takes the third set and looks to hopefully close out the first round of this conference tournament. But again, we've seen how Methodist can fight back after a lost set. We know just as well as anyone else that this is probably not far from over. We're probably looking for another 2 sets. Obviously, that's all you can get, but that's what you can probably expect to see. That was 25-22. Just kind of reading off in case those who are joining us late. Southern Virginia had taken the first set 25-20, then dropped the second set 15-25, and then you just saw there 25-22. So, Justin, going into this fourth set, again, take us into the mind of a player. You're winning 2 sets to 1 in a conference tournament game. What is going through your mind right now? Obviously, you want to make sure you maintain consistency, but what other things are going through your mind as a player?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the Southern Virginia side. Obviously, I'm very excited about the previous set that we just won. We have that lead. It almost makes you want to feel a little bit more comfortable and get complacent. But as a player, you have to tell yourself, I have to keep the pressure on them. I have to work just as hard as I have been. And stay focused. If we go to the Methodist side, we're down. If we lose this set, our season's over. We're going to give it everything we have in this fourth set, because if we don't, we're done. And so we'll see if they can kind of gain that fire that we expect to see from them. And it should be a good fourth set. Looking forward to it.
It absolutely should. And I love what you said about not being complacent, because if you get to a point where in a conference tournament game, you're winning 2 sets to 1, you're kind of thinking there's a reason why we're at where we are right now in this game. It's because we've worked our tails off.
Right.
We've executed and done the little things most of the time, as many times as we've needed to maintain this lead. But like you said, not just thinking, we got this the rest of the way.
Right.
That is the perfect recipe for comeback disasters to happen. We've seen that time and time again all over the spectrum of sports. And you just know Coach Baker is saying that exact same thing.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, as much as you've been working hard in those first 3 sets, I need you to work twice as hard in this fourth set. And like you said, do or die time. Right. That's this part of the year is all about, do or die. You either execute well or you don't. This is why whenever teams get to the end of their season like now, you're happy that you're playing your best volleyball. You're happy that you're executing at the highest level that you have all year, because that's exactly what you need to move forward in conference tournament play.
Absolutely. Something interesting about volleyball is if you look at how many points each team has scored, SVU's up 2-1, but Methodist has actually scored 2 more points if you add them all up. Just a fun kind of different thing that happens with volleyball is you can lose a match but have 1 more points, which is interesting.
That's got to be at least a little bit frustrating, Justin, I'm sure. Look at a stat sheet and be like, wait, hold on a second here. This doesn't quite add up.
Right.
Checkings doesn't quite go into my savings.
Exactly.
So now we will see Hannah Hewitt back to serve for Methodist. Methodist, like you said, Justin, trying to fight to save their season. They have been a scrappy team all year long, and they do not plan on stopping that now. On the contrast, Knight Faithful getting loud.
Perfect pass from Nikki Stevenson.
You talk about maintaining momentum. That's what that looks like.
Absolutely. That's just good volleyball from Southern Virginia. That's their system. Good pass, good set to Sydney, and she puts it down.
That's probably the cleanest attack we've seen from Southern Virginia all night long.
Absolutely.
And we'll see Sarah Hoofman back to serve.
Good pass from O'Brien.
And right there, Green and Bassett. I believe Green got the majority of that one.
Big block there from Maddie Green. It's going to give her a lot of confidence knowing she can block Fowler.
Exactly. I mean, when you're going against a player like Fowler, that's exactly what you need. You need one play to go right and be like, hey, I can compete with this girl. Like, she's a great player, but I'm up there too.
Absolutely.
Here's Tate. That one into the net. Methodist, not the start they wanted going into this 4th set. I'd imagine if the Knights get another point, might see an early timeout from Methodist.
Yeah, just kind of looking out on the court. There seems to be a lack of fire and maybe intention on the Methodist side. We'll see if they can kind of turn that around. Free ball going to the Knights here. See if they can convert.
Hoofman to Green. That one sails for Green. It was a great attack, a great setup.
Yeah, Green just unable to get on top of that ball.
We'll see Carrie Jordan back to serve. Methodist gets their first points of the 4th and potentially final set. That one sails out.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do here is give SVU free points when they have this momentum. And Sydney Bassett back to serve for the Knights.
That makes 4 service errors for Methodist in today's game, which isn't a very high number.
Right.
But now it's tied with Southern Virginia's 4.
Yeah, so just to kind of compare to men's volleyball, usually teams' goals in men's volleyball is to have at most 4 or 5 missed serves in a set, not let alone in a match. So it just shows that women's volleyball, they get their serves in a lot more.
Indeed, that is. I've seen plenty of games where serve and serve receive having a struggle, and you're right, there's a difference in speed and kind of expectation of what you can do statistically, and that's going to be out. Another service error. Yeah, exactly. The longer you do this, the more you see it, and after a while, you just kind of get used to it and just think to yourself, yeah, sure, that might as well happen. Ensley back to serve now for Southern Virginia. In fact, I just need to make myself a shirt that says the commentator curse is real.
Yeah. Set back to Brenna. Big.
Hewitt somehow able to keep that alive. Madeline able to thread the needle.
Wow. Bergman barely finds the court. Very impressive.
I'm still so impressed with what Hewitt just did there. I mean, you saw her immediate reaction when she got the dig. It hit her right under the chin, basically. Right. And she responded like, oh, that was not fun.
Yeah, it's not her first time getting a big dig for the Methodist. She's doing a good job at defense.
Indeed, Holton getting the best of that one against Clyde and Peterson. Or I believe it's actually Clyde and Hoofman. And now we'll see number 13, Julia Mundy, back to serve. The Monarchs down by 2. Great pass from Madeline. Able to sneak it past Methodist. Hovander looking a little surprised. Here's Stevenson coming in to serve for Southern Virginia. I think Hovander thought that the ball had only hit the net and then gone out. But I do believe it was Holton who had her hand on that one.
Good pass from O'Brien. Holton unable to convert for Methodist.
Just kind of looked like the momentum of her swing just kind of stopped.
Right.
Like she tried to maybe tip it over the last minute, knowing the blockers are right there. We'll see Stevenson once again. The Knights with a 4-point lead. Peterson right there, but Hewitt able to win that one.
Well done by Hewitt.
I mean, Hewitt standing at 5'4", goes up against Jelaine Peterson, who's definitely not a shorter athlete.
Right.
And Hewitt's able to win. Skimming the top of the net that time. Peterson for the slide, able to react. Hovander is out. That looked really close from right here.
Yeah, hard to tell from this angle.
I think even Hovander believed that that was in, but now it'll be Madeline back to serve. That will be out. One of the few things to not go right for Southern Virginia in this fourth set. And we'll see Blake O'Brien back to serve for the Monarchs. Hitting a speaker on the ceiling here. The Knights just having to work with it. Fowler.
Just a little too much there from Fowler.
Again, we're seeing a lot of the rare mistakes that Methodist makes kind of being compiled together in this set, making it sort of a perfect storm. There's Taryn Anderson back to serve.
A little bit of confusion in the serve receive there from Methodist.
And we'll see a timeout for Methodist as they find themselves down by 5. And like you said, just a lot of confusion communication-wise in that back row. And Holton just kind of was standing there, and it bounced off of her. I don't really think she was expecting to hit it. But again, just a lot of things not going right for Methodist right now. This is, again, night and day difference from what we saw in the second set. We talked up and down about how well they played in that set, how everything worked out for them. Now it's the exact opposite happening to them. And leading the way statistically going to the kills category. Fowler still leading the way with 16 kills to her name, and then Clyde follows her with 14, Madeline with 13. And then Holton and Bassett are tied at 10 kills apiece. And the Knight faithful here in Knight Stadium starting to sing some Taylor Swift. The things you see at a college game. It's a blast. The fact that the majority of the people that were singing along with the Taylor Swift song were the guys section of the stands here.
Right. Taryn Anderson back to serve out of the timeout.
Knights leading by 5. Fowler attacking Stevenson. Hoofman battling with Fowler. Tate trying to dig it out. Unable to do so. 6-point lead for the Knights. Here's Anderson once again in a score update for one of the USA South Conference tournament games as Methodist is trying to work with this. Hoofman to Bassett.
Big swing from Sydney.
Right in front of O'Brien. Makes it 13-6. And the game in question is between Greensboro College and Brevard College. The winner of that one will be who the winner of this game plays. And Greensboro College winning that one in 3 sets easily. Brevard College putting up a bit of a fight in that third set, making it 25-21. Fowler once again making her presence known.
Number 11, Georgia Van Kirk, coming in for the Methodist. I believe that's her first time in.
And we have not seen a whole lot of her today.
We'll see what she can do.
Hannah Hewitt back to serve for the Monarchs.
Good pass by Brooklyn Madeline, set to Sydney. Big swing.
O'Brien trying to pass to Tate. Gets it just past Green and Hoofman. Stevenson trying to dive in there and get that one.
Yeah, it's hard to do when your momentum's going forward. You have the blocker standing right in front of you, and then you have to also get the ball back behind you. Not an easy play to make. Huge block by Fowler, but picked up by the Knights.
Fowler once again attacking Stevenson, and right now Methodist just thinking, hey, Fowler's working for us. Let's keep using her.
Yeah, Southern Virginia setter Sarah's tried to dump a few times, and not once has it worked, I don't think. Methodist is reading her very well.
Hoofman once again. And you see Madeline trying to dive for that one, and some momentum building up for Methodist as they now find themselves only down by 3. Hoofman to Bassett. Tate nearly basically playing the Uno reverse card right away, but just a little short.
Yeah, Methodist defense, they set up their off blocker a little up tight. I think they want them to get the tips, and so if Southern Virginia's pins can hit that angle, they're not in a good position to dig, and that's what happened there.
Here's Hoofman for the serve. That one just a little out. And we will see Carrie Jordan come back on the floor to serve. Once again, Methodist down by 3. Bassett rising up, and Holton right there to put it back down. And you know, we've been talking about conference tournament time. Or at least I've neglected to mention that Southern Virginia's women's soccer team this past week was able to finish out their conference tournament with a victory.
Yeah, conference champs. They'll be heading to the NCAA tournament in New York. They leave tomorrow.
Very, very exciting times at Southern Virginia.
Middle set to Brenna. Connection is not there.
And so now we're seeing a little bit of chaos offensively for Southern Virginia, as now they only have a 1-point lead. Hoofman to Bassett. And Fowler right there. And ties it up at 14. And with that, Coach Debbie Baker will call a timeout. I think Coach Baker wanted to see her players kind of work their way out of the slump a little bit before calling a timeout. Seeing that's not necessarily happening, electing to call one.
Right.
And in this situation for Coach Baker, you're sitting here thinking we've had momentum for a majority of the time in this set. We need to make sure we lock things down here and now so that we don't end up, not slacking off by any means, but letting this set slip away when you can easily close it out and move on to the next round of the tournament.
Absolutely, they just keep their composure and regain that momentum that they had throughout the match.
And so with this timeout, once again, give a shout out to all the partners of Southern Virginia Athletics, including Cornerstone Bank, Mill Creek Orthodontics, River Crossing Apartments, Straws, Drinks and Eats, Grace Automotive, Papa John's Pizza, locally owned and operated, Vinyl Cuts, The Beef, Sweet Souvenirs, and Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express. Every time I read Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express, makes me just want to go and grab some of their hibachi on the way home. Wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm getting a little hungry. It's been a long game, but man, has it been exciting. So out of the timeout, we'll see if Southern Virginia is able to recuperate and win back some momentum that they've lost since Carrie Jordan has been behind the line. I feel like every time Carrie Jordan has served, Methodist has gone on a run.
Good pass from Brooklyn Madeline. Middle set to Brenna.
Huge block. Fowler's on a roll right now. Fowler now with 3 blocks on the night. Hoofman to Bassett. trying to just get it over Fowler. And that's going to be out. Ties it back up at 15. That's the break that Southern Virginia needed.
Sydney Bassett back to serve for the Knights.
Here's Holton. Great dig from Bassett. Madlin. Ensley, and no one there to help her out after that hustle effort. And the Monarchs take back the lead. Now Fowler back to serve. Good pass. Clyde. And now that Fowler's no longer at the net, the Knights feel a little bit more free to attack from wherever they want.
Yeah, Holton and Hovan are both very tall girls and put up a good solid block. Brennan was able to find a way around it though. Good kill for the Knights.
So tied once again with Ensley back to serve.
No block, unable to put it down. Opportunity for Madlin here. Dug by Hewitt.
And Clyde right there. Going back to that previous attack you just mentioned, if Holton had gotten a solid swing on that ball, it'd have been an easy point for the Monarchs.
Yeah, no block.
I mean, that was as wide as the Grand Canyon that opening was.
Yeah.
Here's Ensley back to serve as the Knights have regained the lead here in the fourth and potentially final set. Here's Clyde. Jordan right there. And Holton able to sneak it over. Ties it back up.
Yeah, Southern Virginia could do a better job at reading the hands of the hitters. When they see their hands go up for a tip or roll, they should immediately come in, and they didn't quite do that at that point.
And
Opportunity
Peterson
here.
Indeed. Here's Hovander. Clyde having to adjust on that one, going way too far back.
Yeah, set was pushed outside and quick. Brenna unable to better the ball there.
And here's Mundy back to serve once again. The Monarchs with a 1-point lead. Here's Madlin. O'Brien right there. And Clyde, that left side for the Monarchs is not a great place to be right now. As Clyde is right there, now she is off the floor with Stevenson back to serve. You know, it's tight games like this, Justin, that make me realize that I'm not as young as I used to be. It's too exciting for me at this point. I'm not even in my older years yet. Here's Holton.
They're really going to Holton a lot here in this fourth set.
That's going to fall right in front of Jordan. The Knights retake the lead. Here's Stevenson once again. The Knights looking to build up a couple plays in a row to close this out. Jordan to Holton. Madlin. That one's going to go out. Ties it back up. Anaya Tate will return to the floor for the Monarchs with Holton back to serve. Going to Madlin again. Really close, but just out. Kind of like how the Monarchs are going to Holton a lot in this set. The Knights are really trying to utilize Madlin on that far side.
Yeah.
And a timeout called by Southern Virginia as they find themselves down by 1, 20-19 here in this fourth set. For those who are just joining us, the Knights are leading 2-1 here in the first round of the USA South Conference Tournament. We know who the winner of this game will be playing in 2 days from now on Thursday, and that is Greensboro College. And again, just looking at this game, it's just been a roller coaster ride by every definition of the word. And regardless of who wins this game, they'll be traveling to Greensboro
Correct.
and playing them in the second round. Again, that'll be Thursday, November 9th. So unfortunately, we will not be able to cover that game here on Knights Broadcasting if the Knights are able to come out of this game with a win. But again, great atmosphere right now in the barn. Gotta love conference tournament time. Gotta love it.
Absolutely.
But now, if you're Southern Virginia, it's been within 1 point for the past, I think, 10 points.
Right.
So, I mean, what can you do in that situation when no one's giving an inch? I mean, we've talked about executing. We've talked about just doing the little things. But it's one of those things where a lot of it just comes down to where does the ball land?
Right.
You know, what does it fall your way? Does some small thing go wrong?
Yeah, I hate to say it because I love the sport of volleyball, but there is a lot of luck is a huge factor in volleyball. There's a lot of random touches that happen that just are out of your control.
Hoffman trying to make a play out of that one.
Backslide to Jelaine.
That one sails on her. They want a tip.
No touch called. Ball goes to Methodist.
The Knights are incensed. They thought that there was a call, a tip. Coach John Baker for Southern Virginia, irate with that call. And a service ace for the Monarchs. 22-19 is the score. And here's the thing, when a call doesn't go your way, you got to recover just like that. The slide for Southern Virginia has just not been there tonight. They have not been able to get really accurate passes for that play.
Yeah, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but this fourth set has not been too pretty for either team, both hitting in the negative here in the end of the fourth.
That one's going to go out, make it 23-20. So now Madlin back to serve.
Three-point lead for Methodist.
Hovander is tipped. Ensley to Bassett. That one just low. Now set point for the Monarchs. I think Bassett just kind of outthought herself there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if I'm a hitter, I'm trying to. If I'm SVU hitter, I'm trying to just get it in the court at this point. We need to keep ourselves alive and not.
Somehow that works out for Stevenson. Brings it back within 3. Still set point with Taryn Anderson in to serve. Literally no room for error right now.
Right. If I want anyone back there to serve, it's Taryn Anderson.
That is very, very true. She's been reliable all game long. Here's Tate. Stevenson diving effort. Here's Bassett. O'Brien with the dig. Anderson diving. That's going to go out, and it keeps the Knights alive in this fourth set. Every small movement now is triggering a response from the crowd here in the arena.
Yeah, emotions are high.
Here's Anderson to serve once again. Fowler gets blocked. Anderson diving again. Bassett gets that to land. Now back within 1. I feel like if there's another positive play for Southern Virginia, this building might explode.
Yeah.
Timeout called. 24-23. Methodist still in the lead, but the Knights fighting back. And this is the time moment that you live for. Obviously,
right.
If you're Southern Virginia, if you lose a set, there's still another set to play.
Right.
But this is a set you don't want to drop. You've been leading most of the way. You had a lot of momentum early on, and you have a chance to make a comeback here. And I mean, goodness. Again, this is the stuff you live for as a fan of athletics.
Yeah, the butterflies are definitely fluttering around in the Methodist stomach right now. Big comeback right now from SVU, and we'll see if if Methodist can finish this fourth set and side out, or if Southern Virginia can be clutch and come back and win it here.
And with Southern Virginia, of course, being in your home court, you have the crowd on your side, you have the noise on your side. Right now, currently, you have the momentum on your side. For your Coach Baker, I imagine you're just thinking like, hey, execute right now. Let's win this right now.
Right.
Let's move on to the next round right now. So Anderson back to serve once again. We'll see if Methodist can execute and close the set out, or for the Knights complete the comeback. Here's Fowler. Hit it. Bassett and Green right there to tie it up.
Holy cow. So clutch by Taryn Anderson, keeping her serves in.
I mean, Fowler going up to swing, you think at that point, oh my goodness, she's got this. But somehow the swing, she hesitated, and the blockers were right there. Here's Anderson. Hewitt with Holton in the back row. That's out. The Knights now with the lead and a chance to close it out. What a comeback we are seeing right now in this fourth set.
This is crazy.
Anderson. Hewitt able to get it back across. Fowler battling with Hoofman. Here's Tate. Hoofman to Bassett. And it's out. Southern Virginia wins it.
Comeback is complete for the Knights.
The Knights win the first round of the conference tournament. 3-1 over the Monarchs of Methodist University. What a gut check moment for Southern Virginia. You're at a risk of, in that situation, I feel like in many places you have the lead, then you lose the set. The next day you kind of come out flat-footed and it's hard to get back into it. I think the Knights knew that could possibly happen to them. So they knew, hey, do or die right now, and they did.
Yeah.
Indeed, they did.
Absolutely. Great effort from Methodist, of course. We were able to see some really good volleyball from them in the second set. Just unable to stay consistent throughout the match there.
And again, what a valiant effort from Southern Virginia to pull off the win in that fourth set. Now running towards their fans, congratulating them and thanking them for their support and the noise they made all night long. I mean, noise is a bit of an understatement. They were elated, they were excited all game long, made it such a pleasant game to watch. And if you're a fan of Southern Virginia volleyball, this is the game to see.
Yeah,
this team.
A great bona fide match there tonight.
And I mean, looking at where this team came from earlier on in the year, you know, I talked to Coach Baker at the very beginning of the season, and she talked about bringing 13 freshmen onto the team, the struggles of getting everybody on the same page, you know, figuring out how to be consistent,
right,
how to pull together a couple of games in a row, and what you can do in conference play as the defending back-to-back conference champions. And the fact they've been able to pull things together and to win a game like tonight, again, that just goes back down to work ethic from the players, consistency, and, of course, a great abundance of knowledge for both Coach Debbie and John Baker, as well as assistant coaches Amanda McCoy and Taryn Karchner. Just can't say enough about the job they've done so far this year.
Right. Knights can celebrate for a little bit tonight, but tough match coming up now on Thursday. Attention is turned towards that match. They'll be facing Greensboro, number 2 in the conference. It'll be a tough matchup, and we're excited to see it.
Indeed, we are. Unfortunately, we will not be able to cover that, as that is, like you said, at Greensboro College. But again, Southern Virginia pulling out this one 3-1 in the first round of the USA South Conference Tournament. I'm Dawson Weidrich alongside Justin Matson. Justin, it was a pleasure to cover this one with you. I mean, as exciting as that was, I'm ready to go and eat some food, and I'm excited to get some sleep. That was exciting.
It's been an awesome season. Grateful for the opportunity to commentate some games, and yeah, I hope to be able to do this again next season.
Absolutely, and with that, we thank you all for tuning into tonight's presentation of Southern Virginia University Athletics here on Knights Broadcasting. Once again, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below your moment of the game, and also be sure to comment down below some ways we can improve, way we can better improve our presentation of Southern Virginia Athletics to you parents and Knight fans back at home. And with that, we thank you again for tuning in. Good night and go Knights.